Hi, this presentation was made for the TAB International Conference as to how to craft afters authentically and easily. And it's based on my experience and experience of fellow TVOs and the past few months still since Andy's lecture. So the following slogan, Mind Master Sam, was actually created while talking to a great member of mine named Roy. And we talked about acquisition and we talked about he's a service provider and the fact that he's a great salesman. And because he deals with a trusted advisors kind of sales, we got into the afters because he sells really unique service, and that is agrotech. That is a specialist in specialized agriculture tasks. And what he does is something so unique that when talking to his potential clients, then they don't know what he knows. So he can't really explain what he does, but he does supposed to talk about the outcomes about the afters. So we actually talked a lot about how to craft those afters question for him. And we found out that basically it's the same as in TAB, and we came up with this slogan, Mind Master Sam. That is very much to remember the tube in London, Mind the Gap. So this is it. Mind Master Sam, that is what you need to remind whenever you start an acquisition conversation. And let's start with the mind. And the mind, we always talk about the mindset. So the mind is your most useful tool. This is how do you approach to the conversation. An approach that is, you can approach it, for instance, very militantly or hesitantly or friendly. I mean, how do you think you are going to play the game? And a business partner of mine once told me whenever he starts a sales conversation, he take off the sales suit and put on the friend suit. And this is what the approach that I urge you to adopt. You are not a salesman. You are not there to persuade anyone. You're not there to convince. You are about to suggest the greatest thing for your fellow business owner. We ourselves are business owners. So if this person in front of you decided to take time out of his busy life, his or her busy life, that means that he was curious about something, his curiosity. So you are not talking to the person in front of you as a salesman. You're talking as peer-to-peer conversation, like you were talking to a friend. And therefore, you have to think as if you were telling about a great vacation that he's about to take, or a great hobby that you are so enthusiastic about, and you want him to know about your great hobby too. And the mind has a tendency to go to the comfort zone, that is to be a salesman. But no, you have to stick with that. We are peer-to-peer. We are in a peer-to-peer conversation. The second, the master part. Well, the mastery, that is how much do I enjoy that conversation. And that has to do more with the mindset, because think about a competition. You've got those in competition that thrive, and you've got those in competition that get stressed out. A lot of people think when they start an acquisition, oh, I don't like sales, I'm not good at it, and so on and so forth. And the mastery here and the mindset here, the peak performance, as a good fellow friend of mine talks about, is what makes us good. What are we proud of? We all have our own advantages. We all have something good to contribute. So in this mindset or mastery, we need to prepare ahead of time to be on our top game. And in order to keep that mindset, the top peak performance before the conversation, we need to think about our advantages. We need to think about our benefit, our contribution to this, to the prospect just about to talk to. We need to be really proud of ourselves, not just as a tab coach, but also as a person. We have to think about all the success we generated throughout our life or just the past day. And the best way to do it is take a piece of paper and start writing down all your successes this week, this day, this year, well, throughout life. All your business success, and you all have great business success. And once you start writing all your successes, and it doesn't have business related, it could be being a parent or a hobby or a friend, what values. You can read your disc advantages and write those down. Once you really get into your advantages, you'll feel better about yourselves. It's about self-esteem. It's about your confidence. And listen, we all lose confidence. I lose confidence a whole time. But once I do this exercise, I feel better about myself. And then going into the questions and crafting authentic questions, it has to do, as Jason always says, it's about skill set, it's about execution, and it's about, again, the mindset. And I'll follow those 3 principles as to how to do it. Skills. So skills is all about discovering the vision of the person in front of us. Be real quick to ask what that personal vision, not just the business one. Business one might give you right away, but the personal one. And you know what? Not everyone would know what his vision is, and a lot of them would start all of a sudden get stressed out or all of a sudden get confused because they don't have a personal vision. And at that point, we don't need to be intimidated. We just need to share with them or mirror back to them that if they don't have a personal vision, then what do they want out of life? What would make them fulfill their own potential? And that's the difference between TAB and every other type of coaching or consulting. We are offering a way of life. We are offering a way to fulfill our vision. And this is a practice that, like any other skill, a practice in asking that what is the vision question. And the next questions or before questions could be, what would be a great success to you, or what would be something you're really proud of yourself if it happens? It could be both personal and business. It's similar questions in the area of what the person in front of you wants to achieve out of the business, out of life. What would be a great success in a year's time? What would you call success in 4 months? Sometimes I even ask, say right now we start a 4 months onboarding process. How would you know that it was successful? What would be a good ROI on your investment? At this point, I'm not afraid of saying, yeah, you're about to pay us a lot of money, $1,000 in average in month. What would be an ROI for that? And the skill is asking questions, and an exercise to how to ask questions is actually not asking questions about TAB, but say you would like to offer someone to join you on a trip or a hobby or any other activity. And say we were talking to a friend. Imagine you were talking to a friend, you can actually train it at home with a spouse, a friend, even your children. If someone has children and you want to plan the family vacation, so you would go to your kid and ask him, well, say you went to a vacation, what would be a great vacation for you? What would you like to tell your friends after that vacation? Basically, if I ask my kid, say you came back to imagine yourself, just envision it. Say you came back from our vacation. What do you think you're going to tell your friends? Was it fun? Was it exciting? Did you do something really special? And you'd be surprised. A lot of the people, when talking about stuff that are in their personal life, would be a very easier time to just answer about those type of questions. Same here. It's the same questions. Say that in a year's time, what would make you real proud about your business in a year's time? Say, let's imagine in a year from now, and you're studying in front of peers and friends or family. Just imagine for 1 second, what are you saying that was successful for the past year? What would you wish yourself to happen in this time? And people all of a sudden on that setting that they are in front of their friends, family, they have a picture, or they've got a movie, or they've got emotions. What you want to feel in a year's time when you completed that personal success? And the other would have that emotion, and they would have the description. And it's all about having those set of questions at the right time. Implementing this vision is not that difficult. It is easy as 1, 2, 3. It's about what needs to happen to execute it. And we are moving to the execution of the vision. And execution is all about trial and error. No one has the right formula, like the magic bullet, the magic that all of a sudden everything is in place. And execution and trial and error, it's what have you done now and what haven't you done now? And what you're doing right now gets you the results right now. If you want a breakthrough, you need something else. And at this point, it's about quantifying the necessity of that success. Say you didn't get that in a year. What would happen to you? What would happen to your company? Say you were absent in 3 months of the year. What would happen to your company? Say there was another crisis. What would happen to you? Are you happy right now with what you're doing? If not, then how long can you continue unhappy in your company? Quantification, it's all about quantifying the pain and quantifying the gain. And it's the questions of how much, how many. It's quantitative and qualitative, and you really need to get those KPIs that is in numbers. And numbers say, could be how satisfied are you with your life right now between 1 and 10? How satisfied are you with the money you bring back home? And you could use the BBB, and sometimes I even put the BBB screen on and say, let's have a coaching session real quick. How much are you happy with 1 to 10 in each of those areas? Now I can use a paper copy of the BBB vision of person. I put one next to the other, and by that illustrating where he is today and where he wants to be at. Quantification is the key to see what would be the ROI, and it doesn't have to be really numbers as far as money numbers, but also qualitative. And then last but not least, paving the way. We need to show how we get from point A to point B. And this is the key to close the deal. And I came up with the going wild model. That means that number one, every single thing that you ask, you have to write down. And you tell them you're writing down everything. because once that person sees you writing down, then you come out as professional. And every single time, the question that always comes up in training, you have to ask them, well, then what else? What else would you consider success? What else would you gain? Always, what else? What else? And don't be afraid of awkward silences, because if there is a silence, that means that the prospect is thinking. And you can suggest every once in a while a couple of suggestions, but you have to coach them and going into that out of the comfort zone of thinking what would be that afters. And then the eye stands to illustration of how different members did all sorts of those afters in tab, either your members or others' members. Illustration is actually a demonstration or a way to have that trust of the prospect in you that other people have gone through those type of things. And when thinking about illustrations, then you could prepare ahead of time different scenarios. The L stands for make them in love with you. And what does it mean, make them love you? That means that they basically need to fall in love with their vision. So I remember, I get back to the 2 circles of the vision and show them how every single thing that we want to achieve, strategy, either people or more money or new markets, and how every single story actually can contribute to achieving one of those sections in the vision. Last but not least, the draw is the final step. Is take a piece of paper and just write down, and you could do it also in Zoom like that, and drawing a timeline with a start here and the goal here, and start putting milestones. So this is where you fulfill your vision. This is the full fulfillment of the vision. This is where we are today, starting backwards. So 3 months before the end of the year, what would be the milestone here? Profit, for instance. Half a year mark, what would be the milestone here? It could be new market. 3 months from now or 4 months from now, it could be employees. It could be new marketing channels. And you start putting on that timeline, you start putting all the solutions that came up in the illustration phase in that time that we talked about the different things that needs to happen in the company. And you start coaching them and say, what and when do you think each step should happen? And you don't have to go through the entire list, but once the person, the prospect in front of you understand that you've got a way of helping him out along the way, that he will be inclined to sign for the first 4 months, and then with the performance guarantee, continue afterwards. But the key, again, is feel to run wild. It's not, it's progress. It's a process. It's not just that you are suggesting or consulting. It's working with him and showing him that you can divide the big problem into small pieces. Then you could have the vision tangible and easy to fulfill. And once you've got that drawing, and once you've got the illustration, and you go and you remember always that it's about having that 3 conversation. It's not about convincing. You have to keep pushing that person outside of the comfort zone. And every single time he kind of say, well, I'm not sure, I don't know. That's the point. That's kind of the indicator that you are on the right direction. Because if he doesn't know, then how can he expect himself to get to their vision? And you can also reflect that back to them. What do you mean you don't know? If you don't know, how would you go about it? And then you give them, again, suggestions on how you might think or what other tab members did. Always as if you're talking to a peer, because they are a peer owner. You are not trying to be better than them. You are one of them. And you are just, again, one of the board, because you are in a board too. And this was just a quick summary of what we had. And I urge you to write down on a piece of paper or in Zoom or on a screen and give them that summary or that drawing and ask them, are we on the right direction? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about moving forward towards your goals and vision? And because everything is written down and they've got that map in front of them of how they can get there, they are most likely to continue. Thank you so much.